Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. Glad to have you with us for the show. It is a Thursday, May the 27th. We're moving through this month, got a 3-day weekend on the horizon. I know one person who can see that weekend ahead of us. Thursday is her second favorite day of the week. Brittany Pacheco joining us from her home. Brittany, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Todd. It is Friday Eve, the fourth day of the hostage situation. And yes, we are embarking a 3-day weekend. I'm very, very excited about it. But thank you, everyone, joining us this morning for our Thursday edition of Up to the Minute. We have a great show lined up for you. But before we do get into it, please take a moment to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Yes, we are across all those platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we need your help, our audience, spreading the word about Up to the Minute. Hit that share button at the bottom of this podcast. That way it pops up on your personal news feed. And Todd, let's get into today's show.
All right. Thanks, Brittany. Stick around. We'll check in with you in a little while. We're wrapping up our Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month with another guest from our HCC family, even from our own communications division. We'll get to her momentarily. And we also have a special guest because it's Thursday, Virtual Family Fun Day. Our guest is Reese Darby. She's the marketing coordinator for Miller Outdoor Theater. Good morning, Reese. Well, we got your mic is still muted.
Hi.
Right now. There we go. Good morning to you. Hey, yesterday we were talking about how old Miller Outdoor Theater is. So when we get to you, maybe you can tell us the date because we were both surprised when we found out how long Miller Outdoor Theater has been around. All right, stick around. We're going to talk with Reese about that Houston institution coming up. As mentioned, we've got one of our guests here, and she is from the communications department at Houston Community College, one of our family, Dr. Lana Pigao. She is the communications director with HCC's Northwest College, and she is of multiracial background. Lana, tell us, you're Filipina, Polynesian, and European?
And European, that's right. My mother's French, and as it turned out, I'm one of those folks who did the DNA test, and we're also Scandinavian, which was a huge shock to us,
Tell us about your journey, because you had mentioned, I'm reading in my notes, that earlier in life, it seemed like there was a bit of a struggle to find out where exactly you fit in with kids.
Yeah, being multiracial and multi-ethnic, you really do have an identity crisis. My mother's Caucasian, as I said, Scandinavian, French. My father is Filipino, Polynesian. So where does that make me? I don't fit on one side or the other. So yeah, it does cause a problem, especially I have dark hair and dark eyes. My mother's a blonde with hazel eyes. So imagine how confusing that can be when you're a child and one side of the family you're growing up with, they all look like your mother. So yeah, it was quite a crisis of identity growing up.
When we were younger in grade school, I mean, a lot of us, were bullied at the time. Did you experience that because being stereotyped, or did you experience bigotry as you were growing up as well?
Yeah, I remember in elementary school, there was me and there was an Indian girl, and our teacher just kept getting us mixed up. And I always thought that was so funny because we didn't look alike at all. And then I get the go back to where you came from, go back to that country that your people came from. And then I also get this really odd kind of, oh, you're Asian. We love Asian women. Will you marry me? Because, you Asian women really know how to take care of your men. So, we get it on both sides. It's very, very odd.
Tell me a bit about your parents' story. Did they meet here in the States? Did they meet in the Philippines? How did they meet? And when did they come here to the States?
My father came to the States in 1960 when he joined the U.S. Navy. And he was stationed in New York, where my mother was raised. She's originally from Quebec, her family, and they met at a party. My grandmother had a Thanksgiving Day party, and my grandfather used to bring the sailors who didn't have anywhere to go. He'd bring them so that they'd be able to celebrate, and that's where he met my mother. Yeah.
So do you still have family in Canada as well, and do you get back to Canada at all?
We don't get back to Canada as much as we want. In fact, we're planning a trip to Quebec. What's funny is my family on my mother's side migrated from Quebec down to Massachusetts, and then my father's family from the Philippines to Hawaii. And so to me, it's total opposites of the world, but it worked out.
Have you had a chance to visit your father's family in Hawaii, and have you had a chance to go back to the Philippines?
We have had a chance to go back to the Philippines. We lived there for a little while. Like I said, my dad was in the Navy, so that gave us an advantage of living in a lot of places. We lived in Hawaii. My dad was a nuclear submarine, so Pearl Harbor was the place to be for nuclear subs. And so I went to the University of Hawaii on my undergraduate studies. And we've been able to do that and also go to Europe to visit family and ancestry there as well.
You're the second person in, I think, the last week that I've had on one of the shows who went to the University of Hawaii. We had someone from HCC who studied at the University of Hawaii. What was that experience like? I know where you're going to school, but you're in paradise.
Yeah, I tell everybody when you live in Hawaii, and you have to make a living, you have to study, it's like living anywhere else. You don't wake up on the beach, or you don't cut school or work to go to the beach and go surfing when the surf's up. You do what everybody else does. You get up, you fight traffic, you go to work, you earn a living, you fight traffic home. And then it's usually your weekends where you get to really enjoy being a tourist in Hawaii.
I've had a chance to be in Hawaii several times, all job related, beautiful, enjoyed it. But one thing I heard about was something called island fever. Did you get that living on the island? Did you always want to get away for a little while?
Yeah, you absolutely do get island fever because there's only so far you can travel on an island. So I was able to save money and travel and lived in Europe and traveled in Europe for a while. And it's really funny being in Europe. Nobody could figure out my ethnicity either. So I got a lot of, you're very cosmopolitan looking, which I, to this day, still don't know what that means.
You say that education is the great equalizer. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. You know, the one stereotype about Asians is we really do value education. And no matter where you come from in life, no matter what your station is, if you get an education, it can take you anywhere. And that really does help you financially, socially. And so if you have an education, that's something that no one could ever take away from you.
When people find out you work in education, does that make a difference to those who may then see you in a different light?
It absolutely does. One thing that people, being Filipina, is, oh, are you a nurse? Being Asian, oh, are you an accountant? No, I'm in education, and I'm a doctor. Oh. And then their tone completely changes. Even at HCC, I've had some folks who were kind of rude to me, and I'll say, okay, well, just let so-and-so know that Dr. Pigao is here. Oh, Dr. Pigao, okay. Yeah. And immediately, their face changes, their tone of voice changes, and I get a little more respect.
Tell me about that journey getting your doctorate, because that's a huge accomplishment. I know it's a many-year journey. People just don't realize how long that takes. Maybe you can give us a little bit about your journey there.
Yeah. So I have my undergraduate degree in journalism, which is very unusual for somebody of Asian descent to want to study journalism. And then I got my master's in humanities with a concentration in professional communications. And I thought, this is it. I've had enough with education. It just seems like I'm in school all the time. And then I got the opportunity to get my doctorate in higher education leadership. And there's not a lot of Asian Americans who are in positions of leadership in universities and colleges. So I just decided to plunge right in. And it's funny, as a writer, the one thing that I was afraid of was writing my dissertation.
Yeah.
But that actually turned out to be fairly uncomplicated. And I hate to say easy, but not as difficult as I thought it was going to be.
Do you enjoy writing? Because I know for many years my profession was writing, but I've always hated it. It's not a passion of mine. It's something I get it done. I do it when it needs to be done. It seems to me a lot of people who write really enjoy it. Do you enjoy it?
I used to enjoy it, but I think because I used to do it so much, I really don't enjoy it anymore. So I try to hand things off to my staff to say, hey, why don't you give this a look at and see what you can put together. I'll edit wonderfully, but everybody who's a writer wants to be the great American novelist, and I've just never had that desire.
We've been talking with Dr. Lana Pigao. She's from HCC's Northwest College, the communications director there. We appreciate you joining us on the show. I know you guys got a lot going on at HCC Northwest, and hopefully we'll see you again in the near future.
Great. Thank you, Todd.
All right, Lana, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on. It's Thursday, Virtual Family Fun Thursday, and we've got a very special guest from Miller Outdoor Theater. Now, Reese, you are the marketing coordinator for Miller Outdoor Theater. The theater's been around for quite a while. Yesterday, I told Brittany, let's guess how old the theater is. I said 1932. Brittany, what was your guess?
I said 1934. I took it like Price is Right style, bid, $2 more.
You would have lost, because how old is the theater?
We turned 98 on May 12th. So 1923 is when we opened.
All right. So I was closer without going. Yeah, I was the closer, Brittany. So
yeah, I'll concede. Yes, you were.
All right. So, okay. All right. Reese, thanks for being here. Let's talk about Miller Outdoor Theater reopening, because I know, like most of America, you guys had to shut down for some time.
Yeah, we shut down for 18 months. Our season ends in November. So it ended in November of 2019. And we normally open in March, but that's when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So we just kept postponing, thinking we would open up next month, but we didn't have a season in 2020.
And that was the first time, I guess, in the 100 years or nearly 100 years that you guys couldn't have a season, huh?
Absolutely. The only year there was no year. So,
wow. Did you offer a lot of things online and switch to go virtual once things looked like you weren't going to be able to open up in person?
Eventually we did. We felt we had to do something to reach out to people. Everyone was so isolated in their homes. So we shut the theater doors and made sure the sound didn't go out to the seats or the hill. And we turned the stage into a black box theater, and we brought in Ben Doyle from Ben Productions to do the videography. He's amazing. And we offered, I think, like 6 live streams of Grammy Award winners and some of the local bigwigs here in Houston. And it was amazing.
So you reopened. Let's get a rundown of what you got planned for this season.
Well, we've got a lot. We opened in May. With some restrictions, and some of those they're easing up. But we've got some restrictions. This weekend we've got the Philly Soul Sound coming up, which is celebrating soul music from Philadelphia in the 1960s and 70s. We've got the Houston Symphony coming up. We've already had the ballet and the opera. So there's smaller productions this year because we have to social distance backstage as well.
Right.
But we tried to offer as full of a selection as we would on a normal year.
What does it look like attending one of your events right now? You mentioned there were some restrictions. I know a lot of those are really being lifted as we speak. It seems like every day, there's no masks allowed, no masks needed, and things are changing. So what does it look like? What are you encouraging people who do come see you?
Well, our biggest difference is online tickets. For most of our history, if you wanted a ticket to sit in the covered seating, it's still free, but you would come to the box office the morning of the production.
Okay. Now
we're offering online tickets. So the tickets are still free. You just get them on our website a week before the performance starts.
Okay. So you can get the tickets online. They're still free, but you're encouraging people to do that online before you get there. But of course, you're more than welcome to come sit on the hill and watch the performance.
Right. The hill is never ticketed. The hill is sectioned into these pods. There's well over 100 pods that can accommodate up to 10 people. And they're socially distanced. And it's actually, some people are preferring it. So it's a really great way to sit on the hill.
I've seen that in other concerts that have been happening over the past couple of months where they have people in these pods. Is that something you think the concert industry is going to have in place for a while with a lot of these venues like yours?
I think so. As long as social distancing is still required, I think this pod is probably the best method of moving forward. So you have to remember, I mean, even though we're outside, this is still a very large gathering. We have crowds of over 1,000 people, and this is just one way to kind of keep them socially distant.
Now, I know you mentioned the soul performance, which actually sounds pretty good because that's going to be Soul Hits. Is that coming up this weekend?
That's this weekend at 8:30, this Saturday at 8:30.
And I'm looking at my list, you've got some other things coming up. You've got a summer mixtape and Christina Wells. Maybe you can tell us about those events.
I am really excited about both of those. The summer mixtape is a new series for Miller. It's 3 nights, and it's using emerging and established local bands here in Houston and the greater Houston area. So one night is R&B and hip hop. The next night we've got country and Americana. And then, of course, we've got indie and post-punk on the third night. So it's geared towards a younger audience, but people like me are still very excited about it. So
is this the first time Miller Outdoor Theater's done that with local artists? It sounds kind of like a battle of the bands when they used to have those back in the day.
It's more of a celebration of the bands. It's the first time we've offered something like this. I mean, almost all of our productions, the majority of our productions are local, but they're local organizations. So this is local bands that we're really promoting, and it's very exciting.
You also have one of the America's Got Talent semifinalists coming up as well.
Yeah, Christina Wells, whose voice is amazing. She's a powerhouse vocalist, a semifinalist from America's Got Talent, and she's absolutely lovely to work with. And she's calling this her love letter to Houston. So she's a Houston native. And she got her start here and then made it big on America's Got Talent, but she's still around and she is very enthusiastic about coming. So we love that.
I know in the past years, I've gone out there because you guys have done, at times you've had bands that did a whole album from like a classic rock album.
Classic albums live.
Yeah, I think it was like Hotel California once. And I want to say there was maybe a Beatles album involved or Pink Floyd. Is any of that coming up this summer or do you see you guys doing that in the future again?
It's coming up in the fall or a little later in the summer. Okay. I'm not sure on the date, but we did get to bring them back. There were some issues because they're actually from Canada. So there were some issues with traveling that we were concerned with, but they have one group that's out of Florida. So they were able to do that. But this year they're doing Fleetwood Mac's Rumors.
Oh, awesome. All right.
Yeah, so it's going to be fantastic. They are an incredible performing group.
I know I went there one year to see one show and it was just a madhouse because I imagine they're very popular performances because there were people coming from all over to see these bands.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So the crowds can get unruly sometimes and we're hoping later in the season they won't be as unruly as previous years, but some of the restrictions will be eased. So like right now, our seating in the seated area is at 50% capacity, but it's less with social distancing. So there's only so much we can do.
You got your 100 years coming up in 2 years. A lot celebrations. Are you planning those now for what?
Yeah. The planning has already started. There's going to be some renovations to the theater with some new innovations. Lots of great performances, a lot of interactive art that we can bring in and some murals. So there's a whole committee that's dedicated just to that, to already starting those preparations.
All right. Reese Darby, she is the marketing coordinator for Miller Outdoor Theater and our Thursday virtual family fun day guest. Thanks for being here, Reese. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And if you're looking to get information on Miller Outdoor Theater, we'll have their website link in the social media post for the show so you can see what they have on tap. Okay, Brittany, we're going to go on with our HCC News and Announcements. We've got a number of things we need to touch on. First and foremost, we got a 3-day weekend coming up.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep, 3-day weekend kicking off the day after tomorrow, which are you going to be here tomorrow? You're not here, but are you working tomorrow or taking the day off?
I'm working tomorrow.
Okay. All right. You said you sounded so enthusiastic about that.
So enthused.
Okay. All right. We got a 3-day weekend coming up. More on that momentarily. Setting up for future success. What is that about?
So set yourself up for future financial success by attending our HCC Financial Aid Info Sessions. Each month, Financial Aid hosts Zoom sessions connecting you with experts to go over ways to pay for your education. Now, this will be going on, it's been going on this week, actually, May 24th through the 28th. That's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. We will have that link to register in the post after this show.
All right. Pep Deadlines Approaching. This is for HCC faculty and staff. The year in review process must have the Pep documents with a status of acknowledged by the employee no later than, here are the dates, June 1st for 9-month full-time faculty and part-time adjunct faculty. And if you're staff, you got till June 30th. So keep that in mind. Yep. Okay. June 30th. For additional information about the PEP process, visit my HCC's Performance Excellence Program. We'll have the link in the social media post after this show. Instructional Service Awards. It's that time of year again, Brittany.
It is. So nominations are now being accepted for the HCC Instructional Services Awards in the following categories: Outstanding Instructional Services Staff, Outstanding Full-Time Faculty, Outstanding Department Chair, and Outstanding Instructional Administrator. Check the link in our post and feel free to submit multiple nominations for different employees. And yes, you can also nominate yourself. The deadline for nominations is this upcoming Friday, June 4th. So contact HCC co-chairs Mick Stafford or Andres Bagé with questions.
Okay, Engineering Pathways. Join HCC for a fun and interactive information session to learn about our engineering academies. We have a number of them with partnering 4-year universities. And you know what? This is life-changing. If you want to be an engineer, you go to HCC, you sign up for one of these academies. Like we got things with Texas A&M, UT Tyler, Katy, out in Katy, University of Houston, their engineering program. Well, you can get a degree through them, starting with us. And here's the kicker. You could save tens of thousands of dollars. In many cases, getting that 4-year degree in less than $20,000 complete. It's a very incredible deal. If you want to learn more about that, you can join them for a live event, 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday, June 9th. We'll have the link to register for the event in the social media post for the show. Adult education, they're asking you to move ahead, get your life, better your life, I should say.
Yeah, if COVID has left you without a job, or if you're struggling to find work because you lack the right training, HCC's adult education program can help you get the skills you need. For more information, we're going to put a link in the post after this show, but hashtag move ahead with adult ed is what you want to look for too.
Yep, that's what you'll want to look for. All right, we mentioned it earlier, just tease, Memorial Day is going to be here on Monday. So we're off Saturday, Sunday, and now Monday, of course, for Memorial Day. Spend some time with your family and remember what it's all about. But enjoy the weekend. Make sure you do take a break this weekend. It will be a 3-day weekend. Our show will not be on Monday. We'll be back Tuesday, June the 1st. Hard to believe. We're already approaching June. Hey, when we get into June, Brittany, that means that summer classes kick off pretty darn quickly, and we've got in-person classes returning.
That's right. So usually we get questions on social media about when the last day to sign up for summer classes are, and that's usually literally
the day of. The
day of. Yes, you're right. So registration is still underway for summer classes as well as fall, and students can now attend small, very small, face-to-face classes for both. So registering early is crucial. We still have 5 course options available aside from the full-time face-to-face classes. We do have online anytime and online on a schedule, as well as our hybrid courses. Now we have our lab courses that meet safely face-to-face and on campus and virtually, as well as our hybrid courses, which are our lecture classes that meet safely face-to-face on campus and virtually. So once again, remember, face-to-face courses are going to be offered in small sections. register early to secure those classes. And you can check out our programs and registration information by going to hccs.edu/now.
So you're doing your master's thing, what, at UH Clear Lake? Is that where you are?
No, that's where I got my undergrad. I am doing my master's 100% online through Lamar University.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Are you returning to any classes in person? It's all online.
It's 100% online, which is perfect for the fact that obviously while working from home and the fact that Lamar University is all the way in Beaumont, I'm not driving there.
Well, was it all, obviously then it was all online. You planned on doing it completely, fully online before COVID hit.
You know, if it wasn't for COVID, I probably wasn't going to pursue my master's, but since, well, I started it a few years ago and then for various reasons I stopped, but then some personal, life events happened and I felt this was now the time to pursue the master's. But before it was my master's in fine arts, now it's a master's of business administration. So completely different ends of the spectrum.
Wow, it sure is. So let me ask one last question. If they offered classes in person, if it was closer, would you prefer in-person classes or online? Because I'm wondering what a lot of our students would prefer.
Every student is different. And to put it in perspective, my husband is actually going back for his master's in education. He wants to be a principal and he really prefers being in person, having that live person to talk to and ask questions with, as opposed to more or less what I'm doing, which is kind of teaching myself the curriculum. And, you have to be able to adjust, but some people learn better in certain methods than others. I'm really flexible, but I think at this point, I probably would prefer being in a classroom with other people. That way you can bounce off ideas and ask questions and things like that. I completely understand the struggle of students who, want to get back in the classroom and then others who are just completely fine doing it on their own. So.
Well, I mean, our students are looking forward to getting back in class. I know all the faculty I've had a chance to talk with in person and on the show, they're looking forward to getting the students back in. So main thing, sign up early, folks, and make sure you get registered for the spring or the fall. hccs.edu/now. Okay.
Summer.
Yeah. Did I say spring? Summer.
You did.
And fall. Summer and fall. We're done with the spring. It's over. We'll never have a spring 2021 ever again. Just think about that for a second. Okay. All right. Film Friday is tomorrow, Brittany.
That's right. And we're welcoming Peter von der Haar. Did I pronounce that right? The critic from the Houston Press, who will discuss the summer blockbusters, and we will talk about a book series he's written. They are crime mysteries here in Houston. Let me just say, and I didn't watch this movie, but summer blockbuster that did not hit for many of our colleagues was Army of the Dead.
I've heard it was not good. It's disappointing. I'm going to watch it. It's on Netflix and it's but I've heard only bad things about it.
Yeah, the guys have very strong opinions about it.
Were you a fan of it?
I'm sorry?
Were you a fan of the movie?
I didn't watch the movie just because I'm not into zombie movies.
Oh, okay.
I did watch a 7-minute pitch meeting on YouTube about it, and it talked about the plot points, and it was just bad.
I hear it's all over the place. So I'm going to try to watch it maybe this weekend. I don't know. Let's see. So we've got the critic from the Houston Press on tomorrow, and also Mike Lee of HCC's American Sign Language program. He'll be here to share his wealth of knowledge regarding the program, the interpreting profession, and the deaf community. So make sure you tune into that. Oh, yeah. Frank Cooper's on the show tomorrow, too. Frank on Fridays. So make sure you join us tomorrow. Brittany, we'll see you next week.
Yep. Y'all have a great 3-day weekend, everyone.
All right. And we'll see all of you Friday. She'll be back on later this week, next week, I should say. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. right here on Up to the Minute.